Real GDP, or RGDP, is one of the most widely used economic indicators in our economy. This video will explain real GDP in the most basic way possible in terms of its definition. RGDP is the inflation-adjusted value of all final goods and services produced in the United States in a period of time. The RGDP is an attempt to describe how productive we've been as an economy. How many cars have been produced? How many buildings? How many restaurant meals have been served? How many haircuts have been given? The best method we have is to add up the dollar value of all that stuff and those services. And that complicates things a little bit because of inflation. If we want to measure how much our economy has grown and use the RGDP to do that, comparing the RGDP from one period to another, then we must somehow factor out inflation that has occurred during that time period. An increase in the real GDP of $1 million could be explained by that much inflation, or it could be explained because we produced more goods and services. Which is it? So we adjust the real GDP, or the GDP rather, for inflation, and that gives us the real GDP. We will talk about the mechanism used to adjust the GDP in another video. By the way, I will sometimes refer to our GDP as briefly the GDP. Most people, when they refer to the GDP, they really mean our GDP. Only final goods and services get counted. Think about a car, which is an assemblage of many parts. The Goodyear tires, for example, may have been produced at the Goodyear plant, but if they are then shipped to the Ford plant, then they are counted as an intermediate good. Many intermediate goods have been assembled to produce that final good, the car. The intermediate goods, such as Goodyear tires, will not be counted separately. Otherwise, the value of those goods would be double counted. Here we have a 1957 Ford station wagon with a price tag of $2,301. Only the $2,301 was counted in the 1957 GDP, and not the individual value of all the assembled parts. The RGDP only includes products and services for which there was a legitimate transaction. So, for example, you or your parents may do a lot of work around the house, like mowing the lawn, for example, or they may hire a lawn service to mow the lawn instead. If they do the mowing themselves, it's not counted in the GDP. But if the lawn service, a legitimate business that reports revenue, does the work, then it is counted. This is one of the pitfalls or faults of how the GDP is measured. There's a substantial underground or informal economy at work which does not get captured in this number. So here are some examples of what is counted and what is not. Much of the stuff that is produced in the U.S. is by foreign-owned manufacturers. For example, Saft, a French-owned industrial battery manufacturer located in Valdosta, produces batteries here in Valdosta. Employees there are Valdosta folks. They use Valdosta contractors, Valdosta suppliers, and their presence here generally improves the local economy. We count those Saft batteries as part of the U.S. real GDP because they were produced within the U.S. United States. On the other hand, products produced outside the U.S. or services provided to U.S. consumers by non-U.S. service providers are not counted. They may have been purchased here by U.S. consumers, but they were not created here. They were imported. We do not count imports as part of the U.S. real GDP. And last, we add up the value of all goods and services produced here within a period of time. The gross domestic product is calculated every 3 months or quarterly. Economists will often compare the GDP of, let's say, the second quarter 2014 with the GDP of the second quarter 2013. We are mainly looking to see what happened to the economy. Did it grow? Did it stay the same, or did it shrink? And the GDP is the primary economic indicator that we look to give us a sense of that information.